I'm Mohammed Yunus from Bangladesh. I'm very happy to be with you today. I wish I could be physically present with you and participate in your discussion and learn from your discussion. Unfortunately, I couldn't come despite my best efforts. We have all tried very hard to make it happen. I would like to come back to Chile. Many times I have visited Chile and I enjoyed it very much. I have met so many friends in Chile. So I always look forward to come back to Chile. But this time, unfortunately, I couldn't make it. But I'm very happy that you are discussing a very important subject, humanizing globalization. Globalization is a great idea, and it's a process which has continued for many, many centuries. It's not globalization that is happening today. Globalization is taking place over the whole history of mankind. People move from one part of the world to another part of the world since human beings were born on this planet. Then there are explorers who move from one part of this planet to another part of the planet. There are business people who move from one part of the planet to another part of the planet to explore the future, explore their luck, what they can do, how they can make more money for themselves, how learn from each other. Travelers have traveled all around the world. But today, globalization is taking place in a much, much faster way than ever before because of technology. You can travel around the world literally within hours. It's possible today. You don't have to spend months and years to visit one part of the world to another part of the world. And instantaneously you can communicate with each other. You are not disconnected when you are traveling from one place to another. You know exactly, precisely what you are, where you are. And that's how it made so much easy, and people move around. And because of this high speed of movement, the technology behind it, now the globalization has assumed a much more significance than ever before. So businesses can expand very quickly. Goods and services can move from one part of the world to another part of the world in no time. So literally there is no distance left anymore for businesses and movements and everything. Markets are a continuous market. It's not a market in one isolated place. The whole globe is connected with each other. So in that, what is happening? Is it good? Is it bad? Of course it's good. Globalization is something we must welcome. There is no substitute for globalization. Let's not make a mistake about that. We cannot reverse the process of human history. We cannot go back and isolate ourselves in one corner of the planet and think that this is the world for us. We can't do that anymore. We belong to the whole world. Whole world is for us. So we have to explore, we have to move, we have to know each other very closely. Borders, oceans, mountains cannot keep us at a distance. So we welcome globalization. Globalization is something that we have to keep as a process and expedite that process. Globalization has brought us many good things. Look at what happened to the poor countries with the opening up of the borders of the countries, inviting globalization inside their countries. Look at China, what happened. China was a very low-income country, a poor country. It's quickly moved, and the poverty has been reduced in a fantastic speed. Today, China is the second largest economy in the world. Way back, they were some years ago. Today, they're in the front line in the economic situation. So that could have happened because of the globalization. Look at other countries, the poor countries. Because of the globalization, their economies are booming. India, Bangladesh, Vietnam, and other Asian countries that you see, the economies are booming. Brazil, their economies are booming. So this is what happens when globalization takes place. I'm sure Chile is a great beneficiary of globalization also. So we were not saying that globalization should be stopped. Even if we say that, you cannot really stop it. It's like wind. You may like the wind, you may dislike the wind, but you can't stop it. It goes on. Similar is the globalization. Despite all the things, globalization, it has contributed in many, many significant ways. Look at the technology transfers. Technology is now moved from one part of the world to the another part of the world in no time. One doesn't have to wait for technologies to come to countries which were not exposed to technology before. Look at the mobile phone, for example. Mobile phone is everywhere, even in the poorest countries, in everybody's hand. That technology didn't exist some 10 years, 12 years back. Today is universal. Everybody has a telephone, poor, rich, middle income, doesn't matter. And the technology of movement, technology of information technology, and all those kind of things. So these are the contribution globalization has made. But globalization has created difficulties also. That's what we are discussing. While we have the good things, why should we have the bad things as much as we have today? We can remove those bad things. Like globalization has brought countries in a situation where they're exploiting their natural resources in unprecedented speed. And big companies from big countries are coming and exploring those natural resources and exhausting the country and exhausting the whole world. As the economies are booming in other places, the demands for natural resources continue to rise. And in the process, we are exhausting ourselves. And in the process, environmental hazards keep rising. Global warming and CO2 emissions are making our life extremely miserable. We are scared what happens tomorrow. Can we sustain this planet? Can this planet survive? We are handing over this planet to our next generation, more dangerous planet than we found it when we inherited this planet from our previous generation. That's not a good process. It has to be reversed, that we hand over this planet as a safer planet to our next generation than we found it. Globalization contributing enormously in making it more dangerous. And we don't want to make that happen. How to reverse the process, that's the challenge before us. Poverty is concentrated in townships, in places where industrialization is taking place. The quality of life of the workers is deteriorating. Should we allow that? How come we are not paying attention to the quality of life of the workers while the economy is booming, while the improvements are taking place? Globalization is globalizing the greed everywhere, and that's at the danger point. Big businesses, big companies want to make a lot of money. They're in a desperate situation to improve their return on their investment, to show their profit margin is becoming bigger and bigger. In that desperation, they are not paying any attention to the quality of life today and the quality of life tomorrow. So that's the danger part of it. Wastages that are taking place in enormous speed, that's again, we feel threatened by the speed at which these things are happening. So while globalization brought us many good things, globalization has to also open up doors for a danger that we see imminent. How to restrain this? That's the question. While we agree that globalization has created a massive highways around the world that we can move from one place to another, these are sort of 20-lane highways, 50-lane highways. Everybody is moving on these highways. No one is to stop them. But who are on the highways? The highways, there's the big countries, they're mega companies who are running with their businesses on these highways. What happens to the poorer countries? What happens to the poorer little companies, local companies? They got knocked off from these highways. They have no room, there's no lane for those small countries and poorer economies and smaller companies. And that's the danger point, where the mega companies will take over all the world. That's a very scary thought. We cannot allow that thing to happen. So what I'm suggesting, if globalization is a 20-lane highway, we need traffic rules. There is no traffic rule. We can move on anywhere you want. So bigger you are, more powerful you are, and you take over all the lanes. You don't leave anything for the smaller vehicles or the smaller countries. So I'm saying there should be traffic rules, so that the rules will make it compulsory that there are reserved lanes for each kind of traffic, so that poor countries have their space, poor economies have their space, smaller companies have their space, they can safely go on those, everybody has a place. So globalization has to be a win-win relationship. Globalization is not just sweep everybody out of the way and the bigger the companies and bigger economies take over everything else. That's not a good sign for a globalization. So we want to bring that order in globalization. And if you have the traffic rules, then you need traffic police to implement those rules. Otherwise, rules makes no sense to anybody. So we need traffic police. If you have a traffic police, you have to have traffic authority. Who would be overseeing globalization? Today, nobody is overseeing globalization in that manner. There are some UN organizations, the WTO and others, who are looking at this. But these long negotiations still not making headway in establishing norms for businesses among the rich countries and the poor countries. So we need a stronger international organization, UN organizations, so that we have those traffic rules established. So we need to do lots of different things to make it happen. We have to also pay attention to the idea of social business, so that we can address many of these problems through social business to solve problems rather than make money. In the world of enormous greed, we have to bring sanity by creating social businesses. Social businesses can be designed by people like you who are attending this conference, so that we can pay attention to the globalization to be for benefit of people in general, not for the benefit of powerful companies and powerful countries. So how to bring that would be a challenge for all of us, to design things, design social businesses, so that we can create social businesses for the sake of resolving these issues in a business way. So I hope you will pay attention to all these issues and come up with solutions so that we can move forward and make this world a better place. I wish this conference a great success. Your success is very important for the world, because the world is waiting to see these problems resolved. Thank you very much.